Dust swept along the ridgeline before sunrise, driven by a biting Afghan wind that sliced through cloth, skin, and bone alike. Radios snapped with static, voices piling over one another as urgency swelled beneath the cover of darkness. "Contact!" "Left multiple shooters," someone yelled from the valley floor. Flashlights jerked wildly through the dry riverbed, their beams shuddering with each crack of rifle fire. A ranger barked, "Tell the girl with the rifle to do something." Another voice followed, low and sharp with resentment. "She shouldn't even be up there." Sergeant Aria Lane lay motionless against the rocks, her cheeks settled into the stock of her rifle. She listened to the sound of men being hit. 2 rangers dropped in the opening minute. One never moved again. Her breathing stayed even. No anger, no hesitation, only math. The wind surged without warning. Aria adjusted her grip without lifting her head. Her silence felt strange to those around her, unnerving, as if she were tuned to something they could not hear. Before we continue, subscribe. 2 military and veteran stories so you never miss the real heroes we honor. Hiran, tell us where you're watching from today. Aria Lane did not resemble what most of the men pictured when they heard the word sniper. She was slim rather than broad, quiet instead of boisterous. Dark hair was braided tight beneath her helmet, her eyes calm and unreadable behind a dust-flecked scope. From far off, she blended in, just another shape etched against the Afghan dawn. Up close, though, there was a stillness about her that unsettled people. She never fidgeted, never bragged, never filled silence with stories of bar fights or past tours. While others shifted restlessly, Aria seemed to sink into the ground itself, as if the earth had claimed her. She had grown up beneath a sky nearly as wide as this one, though half a world away in the Nevada desert, where wind traveled in straight lines and mountains waited patiently on the horizon. Her father liked to joke that the land out there was good for only 2 things: bad decisions and good shooting. He made sure she avoided the first and mastered the second. She was named after a narrow creek that cut through their property, a lazy ribbon of water that somehow kept flowing even when summer tried to burn the world dry. When she was 8, her father took her there with a battered bolt-action rifle and a row of tin cans lined along a fence. He didn't speak to her like a child. He taught her like a student. He showed her how to lie prone, how to fill her lungs and let them fall halfway, how to feel the trigger instead of yanking it. When she missed, he didn't scold her. He simply said again and waited. By the end of that long afternoon, she learned a truth that never left her. The rifle didn't care about age, size, or gender. It only cared about discipline. Her father had once been an Army shooting instructor, back when his knees still cooperated and his back didn't protest every movement. He kept his old range cards in a worn leather notebook, its edges softened by years of dust and sweat. Wind calls, distances, corrections, tight block letters filled the pages. To Aria, they were scripture. Before he died, he slid that notebook across the same kitchen table where he once cleaned rifles by lamplight. His hands shook then. "Make every shot count," he told her. "No misses when lives are on the line." She nodded, thinking she understood. The full weight of those words wouldn't settle until years later, on a ridge far from home. By 29, Aria Lane wore the same uniform he once had and carried the rifle he'd taught with. On paper, her record was exceptional top marks and advanced marksmanship, instructor-level scores, commendations from training units who swore they'd never seen steadier hands. Officially, she was a sniper attached to a ranger element. In reality, perception lagged. To most of the rangers, she was still the girl with the rifle, a phrase delivered with curiosity and doubt in equal measure. They didn't know about the creek, the tin cans, or the leather notebook tucked into her kit. They saw only a quiet, female sergeant who didn't laugh at their jokes or seek approval. In idle moments, whispers drifted thicker than the dust. "She's never seen real combat, just a range shooter. Binocular girl, nothing loud enough to report, nothing cruel enough to confront. Right. Softer than that, sharper for it. As if lowering expectations was a kindness, as if paper targets didn't matter once bullets came back. The truth was simpler. They had never had to bet their lives on someone like her. Aria never reacted. Her posture stayed constant, shoulders level, movements economical. Her breathing remained slow and controlled. mistaken for coldness by those who didn't understand focus. The only person consistently within her orbit was Corporal Dax Rohr. Her spotter, 36, weathered, a face shaped by sunburn and bad coffee. 2 tours behind him, his opinion carried weight. When he first learned he'd be paired with a female sniper, he didn't hide his doubts. He stayed professional, but distant. Early on, he double-checked every call she made, every wind adjustment. He watched her after each shot, waiting for uncertainty. It never appeared. Her rounds landed where they should. When they didn't, she corrected quietly, precisely. No excuses, no theatrics. Trust built slowly, without ceremony. One afternoon, he watched her read mirage off the desert floor, call wind, and adjust elevation almost instinctively. The steel at 800 yards rang on the first shot. Comparing notes, he realized she'd accounted for variables he hadn't even voiced. He said nothing, but he started checking her numbers less. Eventually, when arguments flared among NCOs about routes or fields of fire, Dax would simply ask her, "What do you see? Not a test?" Trust. Still, Aria never chased acceptance. She carried something heavier. Her father had died before he ever saw her in uniform. The day she pinned on Sergeant, she stood alone in her barracks room, imagining him in the doorway with his old range cap in hand. That silence hurt more than any whispered insult. She kept his notebook close, sliding it into her plate carrier before every mission. The pages were darker now, stained by sweat and sand. On quiet nights, she traced his handwriting with her finger. Wind here, elevation there. Precision saves lives. Her vow had hardened over the years into something simple and merciless. Make every shot matter, so when they doubted her. She didn't argue. Arguments changed nothing. Only the trigger would. And she knew the day would come when doubt met reality, when bleeding men would look to a ridge and realize it's the quiet woman with the rifle either was enough, or she wasn't. That day arrived with the wind cutting across Afghan shale. From her perch, the valley formed a wide horse-shorked walls on 3 sides, broken by gullies and stone. The Rangers moved across its floor. It's unaware each step had already been measured. Then the valley exploded. Muzzle flashes winked like violent stars. Suppressed cracks echoed off rock. Rounds struck with intent heads, chests, throats. This wasn't panic fire. It was a trap. Aria saw the pattern immediately. 8 overlapping lanes of fire. No movement without crossing at least 2. Doctrine etched into terrain. 2 Rangers went down. One didn't move. The other clawed for cover, blood spraying. Radios choked with fear. Beside her, Dax spoke evenly. Multiple shooters. 7, maybe 8. Tight lanes. Aria exhaled. Noise faded. She searched for what didn't move. A dark oval in a rock face. 2 round. Flicker of motion. She ran the numbers. Broke the wind. Settled the crosshairs just ahead of his eye. She didn't think about the Ranger he was targeting, only that if she missed, he'd fire again. Half breath, trigger squeeze. The shot felt ordinary. 700 meters away, the enemy sniper's head snapped sideways. His lane went silent. They missed, someone said. No, another corrected. Someone got him. Lucky. Lucky was easier than believing in her. She cycled the bolt. 7 lanes left, and she kept going. Asterisk. Choose the target that must be taken, then advance. On that ridge, the herd was 12 Rangers trapped inside a perfectly shaped kill zone. And the ones that had to be removed were the unseen shooters who owned the valley with their scopes. Aria Lane no longer cared whether the men below trusted. Belief wouldn't deflect bullets. Doubt wouldn't alter ballistic drop. Only angles, timing, and steadiness mattered now. If she succeeded, 10 men would walk out alive. If she failed, the valley would close around them, and their names would be folded into casualty notifications sent across oceans. Her promise to her father. The years of discipline, the jokes and dismissive whispers, all of it collapsed into a brutal equation. 8 firing lanes. 0 tolerance for error. 1 shot at a time. The gunfire slowed just enough for voices to seep back onto the net. Not constrained. A medic counted breaths aloud. Someone tried again to raise higher command. A lieutenant called out distances that were meaningless because no one could move. Aria brushed dust from the edge of the warren. Notebook and wrote her current wind values in the margin. It wasn't record keeping. It was focus. Small marks, fractional numbers, shorthand corrections that only meant something to someone trained to understand. How air itself could bend steel. Dax noticed. Instructor notation? He murmured. He didn't explain. He didn't need to. Anyone who had survived advanced sniper instruction recognized it. Predictive math. Layered wind calls, secondary drop estimates. You didn't write like that unless you'd been trained. Beyond standard doctrine, she capped the pen and slid the notebook back under her armor. Dax didn't say what he was thinking, but the realization had landed. This wasn't raw talent. This was discipline, earned the hard way. Below, one ranger shifted just enough to glance up. Even from a distance, he noticed her gloves' tan leather reinforced stitching across the knuckles, double-stacked seams. Not standard issue. Not PX junk. Those gloves were awarded only after passing a qualification most never attempted. He said nothing. But his posture changed. His voice lowered when he spoke again, as if not to disturb her. On the ridge. Aria narrowed her eyes, toward the far right flank. Something felt wrong. Not sound. Not motion. Math that didn't balance. Our first volley, she said quietly, was 8 shots. Dax confirmed. 8, but 9 position changes, she continued. Weapons shifted from 9 lanes. Dax lifted his head slightly. Say that again? 8 flashes? 8 impacts. 9 relocations. Silence rippled across the net. A ranger whispered 9. Aria was already recalculating. Geometry didn't lie. You only saw 8 shooters, Dax said carefully. I heard 9, she replied. The echoes told me. A lieutenant cut in. Are you saying there's another shooter? One who hasn't fired? Aria didn't answer right away. The question wasn't whether. Someone else was there. It was why he hadn't. Fired. Her breathing slowed. Not fear. Recognition. Someone else is watching, she said. The words landed. Heavily? Why wouldn't he shoot? Someone whispered. He doesn't want to reveal his position, Dax offered. No, Aria corrected. He wants to see how we respond, not them. Her. The realization settled over the valley like fog. They weren't just under attack, they were being evaluated. Dax swallowed. Instructor-level ambush? No wasted rounds. She nodded once. He's not here to wipe out the patrol. Not yet. She adjusted her scope. He's here to study someone. No one asked who. Then the radio crackled not with gunfire, but with a voice, calm, measured. You recognize patterns faster than expected. Sergeant, every ranger froze. Let's see how long that holds. Silence returned. Dax's jaw tightened. He knows you. He read your file. Aria didn't blink. The truth was undeniable now. This wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. Someone across the valley was watching her movement, her timing, her corrections. She found the 7th shooter moments later. A shimmer in the heat. A tremor where stone should be still. She adjusted half a click. The shot dropped. Him 7 lanes silent. The pressure eased slightly. Heads lifted then, the voice returned. Well done, Sergeant Lane. No taunt, no praise. Just acknowledgement. You shoot better than most I've hunted, a ranger whispered. Who is that? The voice continued. Your father trained you well. Dax stiffened. Aria's grip tightened. He knew her father, Dax whispered. That means it didn't matter. Because the ridge exploded, the blast tore through stone behind them. Dax was thrown sideways, shrapnel punching through armor. His scope shattered against rock. Arya dragged him behind cover as smoke filled her lungs. RPG, he gasped. He's flushing us. The bleeding was bad. Too fast. 1 shooter left, Dax said. You have to go. She hesitated for half a second. He didn't. You know the math? He whispered. 10 alive. Or me. She pressed her forehead to his helmet. Not goodbye. Just understanding, then she moved. She descended alone into the valley, not reckless, not fast, controlled. The rangers watched in silence. That's not luck, someone whispered ahead. Weighted broken ground in dead angles, the kind only a master sniper would choose. She found him at 200 meters. He spoke calmly as he stepped into view. I watched your father teach. Discipline before marksmanship. Their shots broke nearly together. She fell. He didn't rise. Only one of them would walk again. Later. At base, no one cheered. They didn't need to. A path opened without command. Caps were removed, not ceremony. But recognition. 10 rangers lived. Months later, Aria walked a quiet range as an instructor. A young private asked, "Were you scared?" "Every shot," Aria answered. "I took them anyway, 'cause skill is repetition, and courage is acting despite fear." That became her legacy. Not legend, not glory, just lives saved. Quietly, one shot at a time. V.